Beauties, you know I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining your girl for another one. And Sheba is who I am. If this is your first time, welcome, okay? And if you're definitely a part of the squad, you know I have love for you, okay? So really quickly, I'm super excited about this. Right now we are in the third series of my 28-day challenges. I started the 28-day challenges earlier this year in the summer. And they're all about focusing on, of course, I want a short-term, I want to see improvement at the end of the 28 days for whatever that may be. But ultimately, it's about creating goals and sustaining good habits that I can just continue to do and be consistent with forever, right? And so I don't want the quick fix. I want steady progression, right? And so the challenges are between physical improvement, also increasing my emotional and my spiritual intelligence. And this particular series is going to be all about spiritual intelligence, right? So yes, let's jump right into it. Subscribe if you haven't, by the way. Make my day. Go ahead and subscribe so every time I fall through, you can check in as well, okay? So, well, first, what is spiritual intelligence? I think, shout out to Dr. Darius Daniels, by the way. That is definitely my mentor, spiritual mentor, along with his wife. I don't shout out a man without shouting out their wife. Pastor Shamika Daniels, she is such a beauty. But what is spiritual intelligence? And it's about understanding and acknowledging and also unleashing or being able to use your spiritual gifts, right? In a nutshell for me, that is also about increasing my personal relationship with my Creator. So I am a believer. I'm a believer in God, and Jesus Christ is my Savior. Now, if that's not your thing, it's super cool. I can't tell you how many people in my life it's not their thing, and I'm cool with it. I'm not going to love or think of you any differently, right? We're different people. If that's not your vibe, it's not your vibe. But for me, that's definitely how I'm rocking. I've always been a believer my entire life. My dad is a minister, but I can say I was on borrowed faith for a very long time, meaning I'm living by the faith of my mom and my dad. I love God, but I never formed a personal relationship with Him, right? And so with any relationship that we have, that could be your work relationship, your career, the people at your job, your coworkers, your husband, your wife, your partner, your spouse, your kids. If you don't put in that time to build that relationship, then it's not going to grow, right? And so that is what I mean with my spiritual intelligence. It's about me increasing my time with God. It's about me staying in the Word more. Increasing my knowledge. It's about being more grateful, increasing gratitude, because honestly, for me, you all, if I'm not good spiritually, which is more of an internal thing, I'm not good at all. And so, you know, like with the spiritual intelligence, it's your own journey. Like whether you believe what I believe is irrelevant. Whatever you go to, whatever source you go to get that rejuvenation, to get that whatever your higher source is, that's your personal journey, and it's not going to be like mine. It's going to be different. It's customized for everybody, and so just know that as you try to be better, don't compare. Like that's horrible, and I know we all do it. I'm a victim of that as well. But don't compare yourself to someone else or the life that they have, because you truly don't know behind closed doors what's going on, especially with the social media. These are just highlights, you know? People give you the highlights of their life, but people are people, and they're not perfect. And so that means they're dealing with the same things that you and I are dealing with. Everybody is, on some level or another. So don't beat yourself up trying to compare yourself to everybody else. You make this journey your own. You progress on your own level, okay? So for this challenge, I was really in the midst of starting a whole nother challenge. It had nothing to do with the one I'm on right now. But this is week 1 of challenge 3. Again, the title of this is called Represent. But there was something in my spirit that just tugged at me and said, you know what? pump the brakes, stop that challenge. Let's work on this, because I was in a situation and I realized I lost my temper, and I realized this is something you got to work on. Like, you got to get better in this. And since I've been on my personal growth journey, I would say over the last 7 years, it's been the best decision I've ever made. It has literally made every part of my life better. Every blessing that I've gotten, I understand now, looking in hindsight, as I've progressed, as I've grown, as I've actually changed things I've done in my life, doors have opened, relationships have gotten better. So it's the best decision that I've made, and I'm really, I have a problem with being upset with myself that I didn't make it before. But anywho, this particular challenge again is called Represent. And at the end of the 28-day challenge, I really want to be able to see where I'm able to control myself and manage those particular situations or people in my life that trigger me, to respond in a way that is not representing God, in a way that is not representing Him properly. Right? And so when you're a believer and you say that you believe in Christ, there's a certain standard that you hold for yourself, but also for Him. And so me reacting and losing my cool is not, usually when I get to that point, I regret doing it, even if I was right. It's always a regret, and I have conviction behind it. And so this particular challenge is all about just being able to see that I'm handling that and managing that better at the end of the month, but also continuing this habit like forever, right? And so the very first week, and I want to say this as well, when I say represent, I'm going to give you a really short story of something my mom did when I was younger, teenage years. And, I was trending, I'm trying to wear whatever was trending for me. It was the baggy pants, the baggy jeans, short cut-off shirts, things like that. And again, my mom told me something that stood with me forever. And she said, when you walk out of this house, you represent me. You represent your family. You represent your father. And it symbolizes how we raise you. And so if you don't have enough respect for yourself, and how you look and how you carry yourself when you leave the house, at least have enough respect for me. To know that when people look at you, they see me, right? I have always stood by that to this day. That when I go somewhere, I'm representing more than just myself. And to handle myself in a way that not only makes me look good, but those around me that has had an influence or impact in my life looks good as well. And so that's what I mean when I say representing God, and representing the kingdom in a way that people can see it, right? The best compliment I've ever been given in my life have been the best 2 compliments have been from complete strangers that have asked me if I'm a believer. Like, you just got an energy about you. Like, for people that don't believe, it may be an aura, a vibe, and that spirit is deep, And so that's what I mean by representing. So this particular week, this is the end of week 1, I focused mainly on first acknowledging and being aware of what my triggers are. What situations am I in that causes me to get upset? Who in my life causes me to be triggered in certain situations? And so that's the first thing that I've been working on this entire week, is focusing on what makes me trigger, acknowledging it. And then after I notice that, if I'm in that situation or I'm around that person, I have been extremely intentional about my thought process, about what I say, what I do. And if I'm upset, I wait on it. I sit on that. Instead of reacting out of my emotions, I just sit on it and I say, listen, let me come back to that. Let's come back to that. Because I know I'm not in a place to be able to have that conversation or to do that. So for example, what I mean, one of my triggers is my triggers, my family, my hub, the Cubs, my mom, my dad. Those are triggers for me. Another trigger is, and now those can come in different forms, in different situations, but another trigger is taking my kindness for a weakness. Everybody naturally, my aura is what it is. I serve naturally. I know that's a part of my purpose because wherever I go, whatever I'm doing, I serve. Church, I serve. Work, I serve. Home, I serve. I enjoy doing it. I like people being happy around me. I like making people happy. I like them being better than what they were before they met me. It's really just, I've always been that way. And so that's not hard work for me. But when I'm doing it and I feel like you're not appreciating it, whew, man, that can take me from here to here. It really can. And so that's a trigger. And so usually I will sit on something, I don't respond right away. But by the time I responded, I'm heated because it's happened repetitively. And I'm already in that Jekyll Hyde mode. Like it's not the Sheba that you're used to seeing because I've had enough. And so, for example, if my kids, if I've told them to do something and they don't do it, and then I told them and days have went by the time I'm raising my voice or hollering, I've had enough, right? And so that's an example that I mean. So staying with that example, what I've done this week is understanding, okay, I'm around my kids. I see that, you didn't do what I asked. All right. And I've told you about it, right? When I first seen it, I said, listen, did you not hear me? Let's go ahead and do this, right? And so when I'm in that position now, I'm constantly thinking about, let's find a different way. Go practically, go take a walk, go to your office and sit on this. Think about it before you react. You just think on it, like acknowledging it. And it's so unreal as I've thought about every thought I've had because I'm intentionally thinking about what's going on. I have so many negative thoughts in my head during the day and I never paid attention to it because you're not really thinking about what you're thinking about all day. But when you're really trying to change a behavior and do something better, I've found that I'm actually not only changing that behavior, but I'm noticing some of the other thoughts that I've had, like imposter syndrome, like thinking I'm not good enough because of whatever reason, or you can't rock that, you don't look good in that, or you're not going to do well at that, you're not going to excel in that because that's not what you're good at. It's those negative thoughts. And so I became so much more aware of other things while doing this lesson. So anyway, being aware of it, keeping it in the forefront and not back here, keeping it fresh and knowing, but then also exercising things that I can do to manage it. And so for me this week, it's not rushing for a response. It's been silence. Sometimes silence is an answer. And I'll just come back and say, I'll address this later when I'm level-headed, when I'm in a place where I'm not going to be responding off of the energy that I'm getting right now. And so that's what Freak Week 1 has been like. It's been very well. And I really had like an epiphany, like a thought, like in the midst of managing a trigger, that I can do this. Like I literally said, you can do this, Sheba. And I said to myself, it's not going to be easy. This is going to be difficult because you're trying to stop something that you've done, stop a way of doing something that you've done for so long. It's going to be hard, but because I was doing it then, I know that I can do it. And so that's so reassuring for me. That let me know that this challenge is doable. And when I get that in my mind, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because me being better makes everyone around me better, makes everything in my life better. And so week 1 has been a success. And on that note, I want to hear from you. So if you're going through a personal journey, spiritual journey, whether it's mine or not is irrelevant. But if you're going on your own journey, whatever that may be, make sure that you let me know in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you. Get your energy, see how you're responding. This has just been week 1 for me on this, and it's been very well. I'm very pleased with it. Next 2 video is coming up for the second week. It is going to include fasting because for me, that is something that I incorporate quite regularly. To make sure that I'm getting my prayer time in, my time with God. I'm in silence a lot because I reset. I'm an extrovert / introvert. So I love being around people. I love serving people, but I also have to have time to myself to reset. And so that quiet time to be able to reflect is extremely important to me. And so that's the focus for this particular second week. It's going to be silence, reflecting, and also fasting so that I can spend more time with my Creator in prayer and thought and in reflection. Okay? Leave those comments below. Want to hear from you. Until the next time, it's your girl Sheba signing off. Be kind. Be a blessing to someone else if you can. You and your families stay blessed. Happy holidays, by the way. Bye-bye.